A world that is nothing more than the remnants of an insane war that changed the entire globe. Lost Kingdom, world government, kings, Joy Boy, two ideals that collided, resulting in a genocide on an unprecedented scale. One Piece 1115 gives us a glimpse into the greatest plot of the series, a war that hasn't ended. Let's discuss everything that happened in chapter 1115 of One Piece, right after the intro. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, and before diving into the chapter, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. This way, I know you're enjoying this video format. Now, let's get into the content. The cover shows Hiyori and Otoko preparing a meal for Yamato, who is about to start a pilgrimage across the land of Wano. Of course, all these covers are about the preparations for Yamato's pilgrimage. If we are still in the preparations for Yamato's pilgrimage, get ready for a very, very long cover story. Another thing is seeing Wano full of food. Really, Luffy changed the history of the place. It even gives a warm feeling in the heart. Part 1, Joy Boy and the 20 Kings. Well, now into the chapter itself, we didn't go into a flashback as expected. Vegapunk's words continue only in transmission and reactions from all over the world. Oda wasn't kidding when he said the whole world would be shocked. He's really going to show the entire world of One Piece, all the storylines we've seen before. And the current reaction is in Wano. It's nice to see the Straw Hat flag waving in the capital. Momonosuke is surprised that in Wano, a closed-off country, they can hear what's happening far away. He also says he didn't know Joy Boy was a pirate like Luffy. Kinemon asks how he knows Joy Boy. In the scene, we see Otama and Shinobu. Once again, Otama appears eating. Oda makes a point to show that the promise of no shortage of food there has really been fulfilled. Then at the G4 Marine Base, we see a group of extremely dangerous pirates captured. They are alive, it's the Kid Pirates crew, but what happened to this kid? He looks kind of fat. And Killer too. Well, it's the group of the Damalo Black Pirates. They are back, but could they have been captured again by deceiving more pirates, pretending to be the Kid Pirates? Very likely. Then back to Vegapunk's message. He reveals the content of the Poneglyphs, which is the record of a colossal war that took place during the Void Century. The enemies, Joy Boy versus the current world government, those 20 kingdoms that joined forces to defeat this enemy. We see a silhouette of this moment with Joy Boy in his Gear 5 form. Here, it's possible to definitively say that Joy Boy was not a giant. He must have been very similar to Luffy. Actually, I won't be surprised if the image is practically Luffy. But to be honest, my wish is for a unique design for Joy Boy. Another thing here is the strength of this first pirate. It took 20 kingdoms joining forces to defeat him. They formed an allied army. By the way, could this allied army be the embryo of the Holy Knights? But the most important part here is Joy Boy's strength. It required gathering the entire world, so to speak, against him. Certainly, Joy Boy must have been at a level superior to that of a current Yonko. But the most important part of this revelation from Vegapunk is that the cause of the war is unknown, and therefore it's impossible to say who is just and who is evil here. In other words, something we already considered a settled point, the world government as the enemies and the Lost Kingdom as the good guys, doesn't seem to be that way. Everything might be in a more gray area. I will make more videos theorizing about this. Part 2. The Gorosei becoming more and more impressive. I want to dedicate the second part of this analysis to talking about the Gorosei. While Vegapunk keeps spilling truths to the whole world, the Gorosei are simply in a panic, trying by any means to silence the old man. But they can't find him at all. The impressive thing here is the scene where Marcus Mars and Saturn are walking, and their Conqueror's Haki is knocking out the Den Den Mushi. Yes, in the spoilers, it was only mentioned about Marcus Mars, but with the pages, you can see in the background that Saint Saturn is doing the same, meaning we already have 3 Gorosei confirmed with Conqueror's Haki. And certainly, the 2 who haven't shown such a feat yet, St. Peter and V. Nusjuro, will have it, especially V. Nusjuro. While we see more storylines like the Minx, note, I know it's sad, but this is the definitive end of the theory of Carrot hidden on the Sunny, because we see her, in fact, with a beautiful outfit as the ruler of Zou. We also see Foxy, from trash to treasure. He went from treasure to trash. Poor guy is on a little boat by the sea, but at least stylish with his goatee and with very few companions now. Vegapunk talks about the technology of the Lost Kingdom and how they managed to create simply insane weapons that today's technology cannot replicate. Not even him, the genius Vegapunk, can recreate them. We also see along with this a conversation between Stussy and Edson. She still wants to help the Straw Hats escape, sacrificing herself in the process. But Edson says she can go now. She can try to escape. He knows that the barrier at this moment with these monster Gorosei is worthless. He also says that what he could do, he has already done, and given the Straw Hats' history, he trusts they will manage to escape. But Stussy then says that she doesn't have much to live for anymore. Without Stella now, she's kind of lost her purpose. Two things caught my attention in this scene. Kaku looking at her, and Stussy's phrase, which is very reminiscent of Robin's disillusionment at the end of Alabasta when she wanted to stay and die. Well, I will make a video about Stussy in the future. Still talking about the Gorosei impressing in this chapter, we have the greatest feat of one of them. Again, Venushiro, who in my opinion is the man of the match so far. Well, he is the one who impressed me the most, at least. The scene involving him starts with Bonnie trying to kick the old man's bald head, while Sanji and the giant Oimo are on the ground. Nisturo isn't even paying much attention to the fight. Good Sanji, use the lineage factor there because you're being randomized. The guy isn't even paying attention to the fight against a Yonko commander. Then, he tries to hit Bonnie, who is saved by Frankie here. It's one thing she can't maintain her future form here, returning to her child form after the hit. Am I crazy, or can Venushiro or his sword have Kairoseki power in it? That would be very absurd. Continuing, as I said, he is more concerned with ending Vegapunk's transmission, and with a jump, he simply cuts Egghead in half, in a clean cut like a loaf of bread. I can't say, but I think it's the most impressive cut seen in the series to date. Could Mihawk's position be in jeopardy with the existence of this guy? Since he probably doesn't count among swordsmen, but seeing what he is capable of, I don't know. By cutting Egghead, he ends up freeing both the Cypher Paul agents and the Seraphim, who are still in bubbles. Two observations here. First, look in the panels to see which Seraphim is next to whom. Why is that? Well, I'll explain in another video why this might have been a clue from Oda. And another observation, we see the Gorosei saying all the time that they sense a life signal. Of course, they are focusing on life signals from the Denden Mushi, which leads me to the question, is their observation haki so advanced to this point? It remains a question. Part 3. The war that hasn't ended yet. Despite the efforts of the Gorosei, who are in a panic, Vegapunk continues to spill the beans and explain everything. The old man speaks in this chapter. So he says that the ancient world was completely submerged as a result of this war, and that this wasn't the work of nature, since the sea level rose by 200 meters. To the ears of more listeners, like Kureha and Dalton, Morgan's big news, who must be pissed off for not being responsible for the biggest scoop of all. We also see the skeptics of One Piece, I mean Mocktown, still saying that Vegapunk is talking nonsense. The chapter ends with Vegapunk saying that this rise in sea level wasn't the work of nature, but rather the work of humans, and that the ancient weapons are related to this war, which, by the way, hasn't ended yet, to the furious looks of the Gorosei who don't know what else to do, and a close-up of IMU's silhouette, who, by the way, could he be a balloon-faced guy? He seems to have a balloon face. The chapter ends with the revelation that everything that exists today is just remnants of what once was, pieces of land left from large continents, or perhaps a single large continent. And well, this gives rise to many theories. But how many people must have died? It's obvious that the world government wants to erase this. They perpetrated a true genocide on a global scale. The question that remains is, how much did the kingdoms that united the so-called Allied Army know about this genocide, that this was the purpose of defeating Joy Boy? Anyway, many things said, some answered, and more questions raised. Chapter 11-15 was simply phenomenal. There's still a lot to talk about, which I'll cover in other videos. And what's your rating for this chapter? My rating is 9. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching the video, and see you next time.